in my boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino. Happy Thursday, everybody. One day from the end of the week. We're almost there. It's also a game day. Kings and Memphis kicking off a full night of coverage here on the channel with the Kings Court. Hope you're having a wonderful one. We are
roll up those sleeves to your freaking neck.
Rolling our sleeves up to our freaking necks. We've got this show going till about 3:15, 3:30, 4 o'clock. Grant and I will be here doing a pregame open forum stylish show, and then we're off and running. Kings and the Grizzlies, 5 o'clock halftime here with Jerry Reynolds. Post game, we are taking your calls, so hopefully you're with us for the long haul. Let's get into it here on the Kings Court.
Needs to be more aggressive on the offensive end, but this is the kind of Williams and Fox, goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball.
And welcome back in. What's up, everybody? Get up in here. Let me know where you're watching from. Ryan in Sacktown with you. Love seeing the names already in the chat. Johnny, what's up, my man? Guess what, John? We've got some Jerry Jones this week. We've got some Jerry Jones today. Not too much. He was on his best behavior earlier this week on Tuesday when he did his weekly hit with 105.3, I believe, in Dallas. So we've got a couple of things from that. In fact, he actually gave me 2 or 3 good sound bites that might be good for the soundboard. So we'll kick those around here in a little bit. Kings in Memphis. Shout out to Mr. Moss. He's going to be sitting courtside in Memphis tonight. Won't be hard to see him. Probably be the only person at the game. But nonetheless, that's a good ticket. This is going to be a hell of a matchup between point guards De'Aaron Fox and Ja Morant. Ja Morant. What a story this kid has been through. What a career the last couple of years, if you want to call it a career, with all the issues off the court. But Memphis is playing well. They are playing really good basketball. We'll get into it here in a little bit. Dennis, light the beam. Let's effing go. Yes, indeed. Big Knicks fan. What's up, man? I think I owe you a DM. My bad, dude. I think you DM'd me a while back and I never responded. This is your Friday. You work for 10-hour days. Nice. You got the 10-hour day schedule. I have a buddy that does, what does he do? I think he does like 12s. It's more than 12s because he's like 2 on and then 3 off. And he's not a fireman. He's not a policeman, but it's got a different schedule like that. But good stuff. Happy Friday to you. Hell yeah. Lydia, what's up, Liz? How you doing? Hope you are doing good today. Let's see, Finchy, what are you ready for, man? We were talking about Finch the other night on a different show because we were talking about different foods that can affect your body different ways. And everybody knows Finch eats asparagus with damn near every meal. And so you came up, my dude. But Finchy, nothing but love for you. I acknowledge you.
Acknowledge me.
Let's see. Ryan, what's up? Wear the crown. Yes, indeed. De'Aaron Fox did an extended interview. I forget who it was with, but they hit him up about, well, what exactly was that reaction to Royale? And De'Aaron's like, I didn't realize that the name was actually Royale. But thank God they got rid of Royale. That was pretty funny, though. Hearing De'Aaron talk about that whole thing. You got to think that's probably played into the Kings getting rid of that thing. And I call it a thing. That's what it was. Royale, that was not a mascot. That was a thing. That thing was better made for Halloween or a horror movie than a basketball court to entertain fans. But good thing they got him shipped out of here. I got a question for everybody. So I was at the store about an hour ago, and I'm kicking through the aisles, and for whatever reason, this is why I was kicking through the aisles. My cell phone reception was not coming in, and I'm with one of the major carriers. I think one of the major carriers is definitely better than the other. I think it's Verizon, AT&T. Those two are the best ones, and then you can shuffle them from there. So I'm with one of those two. So I start walking around the store a little bit more, trying to get reception because you have to clip these coupons now. These stores are going to digital coupons. You got to put them onto your member number. And so I finally get reception, but it takes me all the way down to the other end of the store. And it's like the aisle that's got like all the different bottled water, the sparkling water. And for those that know me well, that are in my group of friends, for whatever reason, I'm not a big fan of still water. I just have a hard time drinking it. So I take mine in sparkling. I usually buy the bubbly waters. I'll mix it up between, let's see, what are we drinking right now? We've got Waterloo right now that we're going with. But there's always this brand that I remember as a kid. And I know like some of you that have been here from the beginning, you'll know this. Clearly Canadian. So I end up on the water aisle. And every time I'm on the water aisle, I look at the Clearly Canadian. One, because you never see it in the stores anymore. You never see it. And two, it's always expensive as hell. But growing up, I remember Costco. You'd get like it was 4, 8, you'd get like a 16 pack of the bottles. It was the best freaking stuff. So it's always calling my name when I walk down the aisle, but then I look at the price and it's $9.99 for 4 bottles of water. I can't bring myself to pay $9.99 for 4 bottles of water. And so this process continues like every time I go to the store, but now I'm at the water aisle in the store because they're not selling any, they're marking it down. So like a week and a half ago, I saw it at like $7.99. And I'm like, do I? Is it worth it? The wife's going to know. When she sees that bottle in the house, she knows how much that water costs. And so I walk away from it. And then I'm on the aisle today and it's $6.99. I'm like, do I do it? Do I do it? And I didn't. I walked away from it. I got the stuff that was on sale. I stuck to my guns and got out of the store. But I guess my question for you is, do you guys have like a couple of items at the store that you're always keeping your eye on, but you just don't want to pay full price for it? Clearly Canadian is definitely one of those for me. So really kind of a funny thing. And I'm just standing there. I'm like, do I do it? Because they had the blackberry flavor. The blackberry's the best. That's so good. I don't know why it's so good. It's just really good water. Period. End of story. But let's see. Still is rough. Alkaline water is the best for me. Interesting. LaCroix hits the spot. So Alberto, I used to be a LaCroix person, and I'm going to sound like a water snob here. My objection to the sparkling waters isn't the flavors. Now, some of the flavors are gross. I will put that out there. There's some flavors I'm not coming near. But my objection or my measuring bar is the level of carbonation. And so I guess as I started drinking more carbonated water, I realized that LaCroix isn't as carbonated as some of the other brands. And so I moved off it, but they have really good flavors. Glad it works for you. Does John get his asparagus at the store? You know what Haunted Horse told me last night? Anybody new to the show, you know who Haunted Horse is. If you don't, you'll know tomorrow. We've got horsing around with Horse and Liam. We'll get their NFL picks. Remember, Liam, by the way, yeah, the Broncos, that last minute cover, Liam went 7-5 this week. 7-5 with his picks this week. Can you believe that? So he took Haunted Horse down. We'll get their picks tomorrow. Ryan hopping in. Get a better water filter on your fridge if applicable. So, dude, Ryan, my wife is all in to the water filters. We had New Works Plumbing out here not too long ago, and she was in their ear about the water softener systems and the in-home filtering. We don't have a water filtration system attached to our fridge, but she moved on from the Brita filters and went to something called Zero Water. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of these filters, but they look like the tabletop jugs that you sit down and then you just hit the little thing and the water comes out the spout. But it's constantly testing the water to make sure it's at 0.0. So that's what we have in this house. Ryan's saying stay away from the plastic. Alberto, add it to your Christmas list. Dude, my wife ain't paying $6.99 for water. I don't care if that's on like my 40th birthday list. It ain't happening. And, that's where it becomes, is the water, is having that sip of that water worth the crap that you're going to get for spending that much on a 4-pack of water? And I can't blame her. That's kind of expensive on water. That's super expensive. Carbonated water dries you out. Did not know that, Lids. Interesting. Damn, Haunted went down. Haunted went down hard. I know. We were talking about John on his show because Haunted said that he likes to eat or chew on asparagus raw. That was kind of weird to me. Johnny, do you chew on raw asparagus? Just curious. Asking for a friend. Ash, I know John's secret asparagus recipe. Well, Ash, I bet you also know the stench that probably comes from John's bathroom because of the asparagus, my man. I don't know what it is about that stuff. It tastes good, but watch the hell out. Nobody is immune from the second half of doing that. Makes a difference. Those filters, yes, they do. Yeah, tri-tip. I've heard he does tri-tip as well. Let's see. Big Knicks fan. Haven't heard of Clearly Canadian in years, right? They used to be awesome when I drank them. Yeah, they've kind of made this comeback. They've at least been in the store that's right around the corner from my house, but charging an arm and a freaking leg for that stuff. If you go on Amazon, I was talking to somebody that lives in Florida. She's like, yeah, I just bought a 24 pack and spent $49 on a 24 pack. $49 off Amazon. Get the heck out of here. By the way, I listened to all of you the other day at the end of the pregame show. I've been ramping up the soundboard. So we're going to mix in some new sounds for you. We got a few of these requests. So I'm not just going with the classics. I'm also going with some of the forgotten lines from the classics, like this one.
This was brought to me by a mother of children.
This was brought to me by a mother of children. Well, what kind of mother would it be, Mike Gundy? Anyways, we've got some good Jerry Jones ones as well. Let's get to it. Bennett sponsoring today's King's Court. Huge thanks to them. Make sure you go to bennettsrestaurants.com. Check out all 3 of their locations in the greater Sacramento area. Do me a favor. Seriously, think about it. Prime cuts, seafood, and steak. And if nothing else, check out their specials. They are incredible. Weekend brunch. Seems like every day they have something going on. Happy hour, 2 to 6, Monday through Friday. They call it their sips and tastes. They have 60 different wines by the glass. So they've got something for everybody. Go check them out. bennettrestaurants.com. You can make reservations there. You can also put in your orders right now to go. If you want to go get some Bennett's, and tell them that you heard about them here on the channel. If you don't like that, remember, we are getting ready for a big day here. So King's Court, we're going to go till probably about 3:15. And then we're kicking into Grant and Ryan at 4 p.m. We're going to do a pregame / open forum show. So we will be definitely talking about the Kings and the Grizz, but we'll also be talking some football. A lot of things going on. How about Trevor Lawrence out for the rest of the season? Do you think that's because of the concussion or the team's record? Obviously, news with the Niners still happening there. NBA news, the Lakers. Holy crap. Did you hear JJ Redick last night? He was not happy with his team. I've actually been impressed with JJ Redick. I hate to admit it. And then obviously we're talking Kings Grizz, as I said, getting you ready for that 4 o'clock. And then halftime, we've got the one and only joining us back here, Jerry Reynolds, coming in at the intermission, giving us his thoughts on the first half. And then post game, we are taking you home with your phone calls and hopefully talking about another signature win for this Kings team. You imagine this team winning tonight in Memphis? I don't think it's too far fetched. I think it could happen. What do you all think? The spread right now is 3.5. The Kings are underdogs. I don't mind that. But Memphis, I was listening to their play-by-play guy, one of Grant's friends, Eric Hasselheim, and he was talking about just the pace that this team plays at, the way that they're kind of coming into their own, and it's true. So it becomes what Kings team shows up tonight, and I see Isaac Jones's name in the chat already. We're going to talk about him here in a little bit as well. What's up, PK?
Acknowledge me.
Don't forget about the gals. So yeah, we've got full coverage. We'll break it down. I've got some thoughts on what Memphis does well, what they don't do well. Bottom line, they're coming off of a loss in their last game. They are active, and I mean active in the passing lanes. 15 steals last game. 15 steals. They will play some defense. They will get up and down the court. They're averaging over 90 shot attempts a game, which means they play at a higher pace. Their net rating for the season, really not too bad. Actually, excellent. It's a plus 8.1. That is the measuring stick for a team. That tells you if a team is legit or not. To give you an idea of net ratings in the Western Conference, the best one's Oklahoma City. They're plus 10.4, I believe. No, 10.8, excuse me. They are 10.8. The Kings, they're plus 0.6. Remember, the Kings were all the way up to plus 4.3 at one point until the struggles began. But who knows? Look, one thing that we've seen from this Kings team is these spurts, right? We've seen them come out and have an incredible quarter, and then we've seen them come out and lay an absolute egg for the next 3 quarters. So can we see 2 games of consistent basketball where we're seeing the same ball movement, where we're seeing the same defending on the perimeter? You got to have it tonight. You absolutely do, because you think Houston was a tough guard on the perimeter. You're walking into one of the damn best pick and roll teams in the league with Ja Morant. So there are some opportunities, though, with the Grizzlies, some things that they don't do as well that I think the Kings can capitalize on. But we know where it starts. It's perimeter defense. It's communication. Jerry and I, with Grant, talked about that on the roundtable yesterday. That was a really good discussion. Kicking it back, though, really quick, let's talk about the last game, what many are considering the signature win for this Kings team, as I try to get that down. There we go. Against the Rockets. Hell of a win by this team. Where do you want to start? So many bright spots, 120 to 111. We're not going to spend too much time on it, but I do want to hit some of the notable stuff. The Kings come out and really were the aggressors from the beginning. Although they didn't score a ton in the first quarter, they played consistently. They got to the 50-50 balls. Isaac Jones had one of his good games again. I know a lot of people are thinking Isaac is the savior. Not a savior, but I said it yesterday. It is incredible for an organization in back-to-back years to have guys that came from out of nowhere, that were undrafted, that were really identified by your G League team, by your front office, and then they were developed. They got run into the G League. They got a little bit of run in Sacramento, and that's partially due to opportunities, right? They have gotten opportunities because of the Kings' injuries, because of their lack of depth. And Isaac is, for all intents and purposes, a lot of what this team needs. Now, he's not going to be Isaac that you saw against Houston every night, but when the matchup fits and he's on his game, watch the hell out. That guy is a quick jumper. He has athleticism like nobody else on this Kings team, and that includes De'Aaron Fox. It's different athleticism. They're not the same athletes. They're different, but it's different in a good way. Isaac can get off the floor really, really quick. His explosion is incredible. So what's he going to do tonight? Another thing I'm looking at, your starting backcourt for Second game that you have Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox together, 19 assists combined and only 3 turnovers against the Houston Rockets. That is winning basketball. And again, coming out and making them feel you. That is so important. The offense now centered more around the pick and roll, which is a beautiful thing as we put up the box from last game. So what can the Kings do? And by the way, that was a home game too. The Kings don't usually play well on their home court, and they did it. So maybe they just need tougher competition. The bottom line is that is a signature win. That was a Houston team that was really hot and still is hot, that was coming into Sacramento. Also, super important, that was a Houston team that beat you 4 times last year. So to get that win, that's important to a team's psyche. Indeed. Here was DeMar DeRozan. I thought this was important too, because you saw this in the game against Houston. Want to play it for you really quick, talking about Keegan Murray.
It's a daily thing. We here every day practicing, if it's film, if it's something we see, that we want to walk through, if we shooting, whatever it is, like constant dialogue that people don't get to see outside of us just going out to play a game. It's a lot of things that as a collective we tend to try to do for one another, because we all need it. Just because one person's struggling, we just don't point to that one person. It's a us thing. So just being confident, reps, continue to stay the course, kind of weather this tough time right now. We'd be all right.
So the fact that you saw that in the game against Houston, they were not afraid to go to Keegan in the big times. And Keegan came up big, especially in the fourth quarter and the third quarter. He hit some big shots, but it's not just vocal. It's been happening. I've heard from behind the scenes that DeMar has very much been in Keegan's ear, trying to keep him positive, keep him going on the right track. Coach Brown, also, his words landed with this team. He did not pull any punches. Remember, this was before the Houston game.
Watching the film, this is what I said last night. I could have helped them better, and that's the first thing I told them. And I got to make sure I hold myself accountable first while holding everybody else accountable. But the players, they know. We've talked about it. They understand what they have to do, and it has to be done over a 48-minute period. But there were good things that we did last night on both ends of the floor. There were a lot of good things offensively. Our pace for the first time was where it needed to be. Not only our pace pushing the ball, but, man, we got to the corners like we did year one. It was the best we did, getting to the corners consistently for the whole game, which helps our pace tremendously.
And getting to the corners is what Kevin Huerter did so well last game. And I know Kevin has been inconsistent coming off of the ankle injury, but for the first time, one of the few times this season, it was a Kings team that looked like it was supposed to look. It's how Coach drew it up. Now, there's certainly some things to work on. The free throws were a problem. They got to the line 20 times and only made 12. Domas missed some late. You felt the tide might be turning a little bit here and there. And then what happens? Ejections everywhere. Ime Udoka, gone. In fact, the NBA has issued some fines and suspensions. How about that? For what happened at the end of the Kings game. I was surprised by that. How about all of you? That caught me a little off guard, because if you remember, Coach Brown, our man, went after an official. In fact, I think he made contact with the official. I'm willing to look the other way, but all good there. So that's really the summary of the Houston game. And as we look at what the Kings walk into tonight, it's a very, very good Memphis Grizzlies team. Very good. They're 11-8. They're extremely good on their home court. They're 10-3 on their home court, and they are getting production from areas that they were not expecting it. And this was a team that was hit by injuries during the season as well. Ja Morant has missed some time already this season. Let's put up the Grizzlies numbers as we continue to talk to them. You can look at their team numbers right here. Yeah, so John Morant has been injured at times during the season. Jalen Wells, it's the name you're going to hear a lot tonight. He's given them an unexpected boost off the bench. He was their other draft pick besides Zach Edey. Behind Dalton Connect, he is the second best rookie at shooting the three ball right now and playing a little bit beyond his years. The coaching staff has been very happy with him, especially with his consistency on both ends of the court. So you're going to get a dose of him. You are not going to get Zach Edey. He is still out with a sprained ankle. So take that for what it is, but you still have to deal with Desmond Bane. You've got to deal with Jackson. You've got to deal with Marcus Smart. So this Grizzlies team, you can get them a little bit off kilter. You can get them a little bit heated. You can get physical with them. You might see some of the same things that we saw against Houston in terms of the yapping. Whenever the Kings are in Memphis, it seems like it's usually a close game. So really one of the big keys to me is, can the Kings keep their damn heads for the second game in a row? We've seen too many times this season up until Houston that they would lose their heads and then lose the game. So can they keep their cool? Can they keep the communication going? The communication was so much better against Houston, especially watching the game back. On defense, they were talking, they were on the same page, and it made a difference. Now, Houston still put up 39 three-point attempts, which is right in line with where the Kings are at. Remember, the Kings are the second worst at defending the three-point line and the second worst at allowing three-pointers or three-point attempts in the NBA. But Houston only shot it at 35.9%. That made a big difference. Sacramento's contests were much better than they had been. I thought Mike Brown's challenge was pretty damn good with Kevin Huerter. But tonight, you got to do it again. You got to put two games together, because waiting on the other side of tonight is the San Antonio Spurs. You got the Spurs waiting. They are also playing tonight. So it's a back-to-back for them, as well as we take a quick look at the Western Conference as we sit right now. There's your playoff picture for the West. Kings still out of the picture, 2 games under 500, but showing signs of life. Again, they shot the three ball a lot better last game, 46.7%. I want to focus a little bit more on the offense here in a few minutes, because the offense is the most significant change since Malik Monk has gone into the starting lineup. And for anybody that did not hear Coach Brown after the San Antonio game, he said that Malik would be starting going forward.
Malik's going to start. You know, he's going to start. And will there come a day I'd want to change it? Maybe. I don't know. But what we've done so far hadn't resulted in good things in terms of our records. So I felt like I needed to shake it up. And, you know, again, it was good. But at the end of the day, we still lost, and it's about winning and losing in this league. And so we got to figure out. I'm gonna definitely give it some time, and hopefully we could figure out doing the things we need to do to get over the hump. But it was just about shaking it up, because what we were doing wasn't working.
And shaking it up, it did. The Kings had 33 assists on 47 made baskets against the Rockets. 33 assists on 47 made baskets. And by the way, the turnovers, how important was that? Only 10 turnovers. Yes, the tsunami warning was lifted the last time that I heard. But yeah, there was an earthquake today, 7.3. Did anybody feel it? Part of living in California. You know what? If I had to, and I don't want to be insensitive, I don't know if anybody was injured. I don't know if anybody's property was damaged. But all of you that are here in California with me, quick question. Do you live with the earthquakes like I do? I'm good with the earthquakes. Give me the earthquakes over the tornadoes. The tornadoes terrify me. If you're like Adam, or you're somebody in the Midwest, those to me, that would freak me the hell out. Hurricanes, I guess I could live with that probably over the tornadoes. I would probably rank it in preference. I think Tornado Alley or any place where there's tornadoes, that's the scariest. Then hurricanes, then earthquakes. Where do you guys put it? Maybe I'm just desensitized to earthquakes. Nonetheless, all three are awful, but hopefully everybody is definitely safe. That's a hell of a shake. Everybody says we're waiting for the big one again, right? I don't know. Do y'all remember the LA quake? Of course you remember it. If you weren't old enough, you've probably heard about it, but that was a crazy one. We were not in LA, but I think we had a family member that was in LA when that big one hit. So Kings need a player like Josh Hart. Be a perfect player for the Kings, although I'm glad we have him. Josh Hart would be good for the Kings. You're right. That was one of the names that a couple seasons ago, Grant and I were screaming off the rooftops for. But look, here's the bottom line. You know how I've talked about the Kings not having a true point guard? Malik Monk's your point guard right now. De'Aaron Fox is not your point guard. He's your off guard. And I love and I said I was going to talk about the offense here in a minute. I love what they're doing offensively, where they're getting De'Aaron in motion. They're getting him downhill without the ball. They're bringing him off of screens. The offense has gone away from the DHO and gone to the pick and roll, something that I thought of should have happened a very long time ago. Because if we want to be real Kings fans, if you want to be real, if you are a Kings fan that watches nearly every single game, how painful was it starting to become to watch these guys run to the same spots at times on offense and execute the same thing with defenders nowhere near them, or a defender nowhere near Sabonis? The NBA figured out the DHO with the Kings. Now, you can still mix it in. You'll still see some of it tonight, but the pick and roll is a much harder thing to guard with the Kings now that you have DeMar DeRozan, because your help defender, you're putting them in an impossible situation. If you have to help the pick guy, or if you're having to help the ball carrier that's coming off of the pick and you're stepping up, that means you're leaving DeMar DeRozan open on the weak side to do what? Pick you apart, to put you in rotation. It's a crazy ask. And so that changes the formula for the Kings. DeMar has flashes for sure. He had a big third quarter. Definitely had a big third quarter. Like a Hart. Crowder is a baby of that. What are we talking about? For some reason, this year's bench feels a little weak. Yes, because it's been a G League bench. I said it like a week and a half ago. The Kings bench is closer to a G League bench than it is an NBA bench. Unfortunately, it's the truth. And Isaac Jones, he has been such a pleasant surprise for this team. He's going to have his moments where he throws the guys a couple grenades, but I have seen, for somebody with as little NBA experience as him, I have seen far more good than I have seen bad this season with Isaac. So expect him to continue to get more and more run. And what's been the most noticeable thing for me is the fact that the starters, the core of this team, trusts him. That says a lot, because the Kings play so much off of feeling, knowing where your teammate's going to be at. And you've got Domas, you've got DeMar, you've got De'Aaron seeking out Isaac, which is huge for a guy that's a two-way player. And again, second time that you've had a two-way player in 2 years have somewhat of an impact on your team. I can't tell you how rare that is. And that is a massive credit to both the front office here, but you better give some damn love to the front office in Stockton and Gabriel Harris and his entire team that have identified and scouted great talent that went undrafted and developed it. I know I said it a few minutes ago, but look, you have gotten two pieces of very nice coal that the Kings have now polished into something that can become very, very shiny and nice. Now, he's not going to be an NBA all-star, but relative to the other decisions or the players that you had to choose from, he is much more desirable with what he gives you. Lydia, I think you've been screaming for rim protection, right? Progressive, I believe, is always screaming for rim protection. He gives you some of that. Did you see him block Steven Adams the other night? And Steven Adams come up to him, be like, good job, Rook. Like, wow, that's some bounce. So, really good stuff from them. Kings Memphis tonight. Looking forward to it. Want to get back to the chat here in a few minutes. Boogie Ellis has potential from what I saw. Yeah, Boogie's playing good. Look, Stockton is playing really good basketball right now. Mason Jones working his way back from that hamstring injury. He had 36, I believe, the other night. Rich was at that game in Oceanside. And I think Stockton's only lost 1 or 2 games, both to the Valley Suns this season. So get your butts to Stockton, y'all. Get your butts to Stockton. You will not regret it. And if you're like, oh, I don't want to go to Stockton, it's Stockton. It's not that part of Stockton. It is actually really good. Adam, what's up, dude? We doing WWE tomorrow. I don't care how old he is. I'd love to have Steven Adams. That dude's built. Steven Adams. Yeah, I agree. And he's been one of those all Kings killers for sure. Yeah, exactly. Steven Adams gave him some love for that. Jones is better than Adams. Let's not get into that just yet, Dennis. I don't know if I would go quite there. I'll give Dennis some love. Dennis was like, he DM'd me. I get about 10 of them a day from Dennis, which is totally fine. All good. But one of them was like, I'm not going to say the names. I don't get along with the person, but somebody put something out there that, watch out for Isaac Jones. And I didn't think that Isaac was quite ready based off of what I had seen from him in the G League, and he's been thrown into the fire and he's responded. I think one of the biggest compliments you can give Isaac is the game doesn't appear to be too fast for him. A lot of times when you are going back and forth from the G League to the NBA and getting a few minutes here or there, the best example I can give you is Colby Jones. Think about, and by the way, Colby was dominating early in the season in Stockton. But think about the first few stints Colby Jones got this year on the court that actually mattered. They weren't great. It wasn't until, I forget the road game where Colby came in, hit a couple threes. It was San Antonio, I think. Was it San Antonio? Yeah, I think it was San Antonio. And Mike Brown's complimenting him after the game. Stop. But it even for Colby, and he's a second-year guy. He was a second-round draft pick, right? It's an adjustment. And for Isaac, it hasn't looked too fast. In fact, he's responded really, really well to it. Let's see. I do like that as well, Dennis. The pin down is important to this team. Some high-low would be really important too. The best thing you can do for Domantas Sabonis is let him be under the hoop. You got to keep him under the hoop unless you want him out there to shoot threes. If you don't want him out there to shoot threes or shoot the J, let him get back under the hoop. Let him be the role guy because he's the garbage man. He eats everything up, and that's what he's the best at. It's not that I get that he's been a very good passer, but the reality of the situation is he has not been a good passer this year. He has struggled with his turnovers. And part of that is because of the lack of creators on this team. But there was also less asked of him from a creation standpoint and also figuring it out. We talk about 25 games. Tonight's going to be game 23. I think the spacing has progressively gotten better now that we've got Malik Monk in the starting lineup. But Monk knows this offense. Monk kind of is this offense to a degree. Think about it. They're going to a pick and roll, and that's what him and Sabonis always did so well. And I've been very impressed. I got to give Mike Brown his flowers here with his rotations, especially how he's giving the starters breaks. If you notice, you'll see it tonight probably. Monk and Sabonis will be on the bench at the same time when they get their first blow. It's because you want the two of them on the court at the same time, at all times, because of the pick and roll threat that they pose. Also, you got to give Sabonis some love for playing with 3 fouls. He played physical against Şengün. I was a little disappointed in Şengün. I did not like all the flopping. I started thinking to myself, I'm like, when did this start? Because I don't remember Şengün flopping the way that he had been flopping. That was bad. I went back and watched it. Monk is dishing. Yeah, 12. What do you have? 13 assists? 12 assists. 12 assists, no turnovers. Malik Monk. That's the best version of Monk. The bad version of Monk is when he gets caught in the air and he's not sure what he's going to do with the ball, but he jumps still. This has been the best version of Monk. And I love how he's handled the starting assignment. I think it's great. I mean, this was Mike Brown's trump card after all, right? Starting Malik Monk. Where else does the team go from there? They don't. Like, it's time to make moves. If starting Malik Monk doesn't work, they're 1-1 starting him. Tornadoes, yeah, definitely scary. I don't like those. Yeah. Scared of tornadoes indeed. What is Jones? 6'8"? Isaac is, I feel like he's a little bit taller than 6'8". Let me look at a couple pictures. I have some pictures from training camp that I'll look at, and I'll give you a better answer. Şengün and Floppy Gilbert are so weak. Fair enough. Understood. Totally get it. We're talking Kings. We're talking Grizz. We're talking a little bit of everything. We've got some NFL. We've also got 4 o'clock coming up. Grant and I will be here doing an open forum and pregame show for the Kings and the Grizz. Hopefully you can join us for that. We'll lead you right into the pregame the game that starts at 5 o'clock. Kings 3.5-point underdogs. I was shocked. The Kings were 1.5 favorites last game. And everybody's thinking, like, there's no way. 1.5 favorites against the Rockets? Why? The Rockets didn't play the night before. And sure enough, what the heck happens? The Kings come out and have one of the best games of the season. Really good stuff. I want to mix in some Jerry Jones really quick. You know, usually we talk about Jerry on Tuesdays. We get a chance to listen to his weekly hit with 105.3 The Fan. He gives us some comedic relief, usually is good for a soundbite or two. And it didn't really disappoint this week. It came close, but it didn't completely disappoint. He had some funny moments talking to the guys. And remember, Dallas has won 2 games in a row. Can you believe that? Dallas has won 2 games in a row. Jerry did have some weird lines, though. Check this one out.
Mama did wild game as good as anybody I've ever seen.
Mama did wild game as good as anybody I ever seen. Okay, Jerry. All right, fair enough. Now, this one just straight terrifies me.
Well, I go out and shoot it.
Jerry Jones with a gun. I mean, this guy can't run a football franchise. I don't know that this guy should be hunting. If you can't spot talent, I don't know that you are going to be able to spot game out while hunting or spot other humans that might be in the forest and in the woods, in the backwoods, Jerry. Does Jerry Jones hunting scare anybody else? Like, it terrifies me. Absolutely terrifies me. Gavin's still talking about the game. If we win tonight, we could win 5 in a row, including the Rockets. Well, let's put one in front of the other. Let's hopefully go for 2. I will tell you this. The way that things feel about this team changes if you win this game tonight. Definitely changes if you win this game tonight. You put together 2 consistent performances, something the Kings have not. Probably the 2 most consistent performances. Tell me if you can name a better 2-game stretch than this, and the Kings were 1-1 in the stretch. The back-to-back, the Minnesota and Utah games at home, where Fox had 60 and 49. I think those were the 2 most consistent games the Kings have played back-to-back. Can you think of any other 2 games? If the Kings win tonight, yes, that will be their best 2 games in a row this season. It's Texas. Everybody's got a nephew. Yeah. Jerry just kept going. Here's another one for Jerry.
It's not why I do it. Why I do it is I'm willing to play God a little bit.
Okay. Did I just hear that right, Jerry? You like to play God a little bit?
It's not why I do it. Why I do it is I'm willing to play God a little bit.
Jerry, I'm not sure how God feels about that, my man. I don't think God's going to take too kindly to that. And then Jerry certainly had to share a story from back in the day. This one, can you imagine this one? Jerry's World, it's not a stadium, it's a state of mind.
Acknowledge me.
Al, comment of the day. Comment of the damn day, Al. It is a state of mind. It is. I mean, this is Jerry's
There's a pony
world.
in here somewhere is the old adage with the boy scooping up the manure on Christmas Day and whistling while he was doing it. Here comes Santa Claus. Well, that's us.
Here comes Santa Claus. It's funny how he says Santa Claus there. It is a state of mind. Right, Dennis? Pull his mic. Who's calling me right now? Yes, my ringtone for basketball contacts in my phone is the NBA on NBC. So yes, that is the song that you just heard. All right. So here was a story that Jerry shared, which I thought was interesting. I'm surprised. I think Jerry should have kept this one to himself, but nonetheless, Jerry Jones, everybody.
I'm reminded of we had a situation when we were at Wichita Falls with our training camp, and Rowdy was taking water guns out in that heat and squirting some of the fans in the wrong spots. And they would jump, but it cooled them off, and they kind of laughed about it and thought it was good, but still, it wasn't the thing to be doing. And I got a hold of him and told him, I said, man, you got to stop that stuff. You'll get us both thrown under the jail out here. It can't be shooting that stuff, because you could knock a water bottle down at 50 feet with that water gun. So it would cool you off real good about it. So he said, I'll do better. It hadn't been a month later. We're back in Dallas, and the Rowdy wagon is found outside a strip place about 2 a.m.
Shooting fans with water bottles where he shouldn't be shooting them? Jerry, my man, you got to keep that stuff to yourself, dude. The one and only Jerry Jones.
I'm reminded of we had a situation when we were at Wichita Falls with our training camp, and Rowdy was taking water guns out in that heat and squirting some of the fans in the wrong spots.
Dude, can you imagine training camp back in those days? It must have been like an endless party / war. The rules were so much different in the NFL, so much different about practices and contact, and these guys were staying in dorms. Oh my gosh. I think about some of the times that we had to stay in dorms for, and not in college, but when we were traveling for basketball tournaments, and some of the stuff that we used to do, the Francisco Torres Towers at UCSB. Oh my gosh. Got some stories there. I'm sure all of you have some dorm stories too. Hey, MC, appreciate the love. Thank you very much. It is our pleasure. We absolutely love doing it. And please, yes, hit the thumbs up button. Helps the channel. We greatly appreciate it. We're getting you ready for the Kings and the Grizz tonight. That was the one and only Jerry Jones. The only thing better than Jerry Jones sound bites, I'm telling you, is Bennett's West Side Grill. Their third location in the greater Sacramento area. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com check out their prime cuts of seafood and steak. And they've also got other great offerings. Their daily soups are incredible. In fact, Napes eats the soup like it's a cup of coffee. It's so good. Seriously, I've watched it. It's good stuff. I don't blame him. I do it too. The mushroom soup's off the charts, but also their steak cob salad. They've got an incredible chicken and ribs dish with crisp cut fries. They've got a little bit of everything, and they also have awesome specials throughout the week. You've got brunch on the weekends. You've got prime rib on the weekends. You've got Monday wine and dine happy hour, 2 to 6, Monday through Friday. And if you have a holiday party coming up, if you have a gathering, an office party, think about Bennett's, because they have beautiful private dining rooms, things set aside for you. You get all the same great food and service, a little bit more of an intimate setting for you and your group. And when you go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com, you can make your reservations there. You can order food to go right now, right there on the website. And also, don't forget holiday meals. Not sure if anybody picked up one for Thanksgiving. Pretty sure they'll be doing that for Christmas too. Those go quick, so make sure you're checking that website. That's Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring today's episode of the King's Court. And do me a favor, when you guys check in there, let them know that you heard about them here on If You Don't Like That. Truth, no PC encouraged environments. Talk about climate crisis. Yeah, there's a lot going on. The news cycle, and I don't want to get too far off track here, but the news cycle, the last 24 hours, holy crap, with what happened in New York City, whew. Terrible, bone chilling, very sad, but something like out of right out of a novel. Like Hollywood couldn't have written something like that. And I mean, condolences to the CEO's family and friends and loved ones. But it's dominating the news cycle right now. It's almost like reality television, but it's somebody's life. Really sad stuff. And then the earthquake, as we talked about just a few minutes ago, man, we've hit a little bit of everything today. Getting you ready again for the Kings and the Grizz. So somebody said that they think the Kings could go on a 5-game winning streak if they won tonight. Let's talk about it. Let's look at the Kings schedule right now and let's see if you think they can do it. And mind you, the Kings in back-to-backs, as I get ready to pull their stats up, let's put their schedule up for you. Getting used to this screen share business. There we go. Sharing the screen. Let's expand it. Here we go. So you've got Memphis tonight, who we've talked about, and Grant and I will be back at 4 o'clock talking more about tonight's game and some other things in sports. Definitely Thursday Night Football. You got another good one tonight. But you look at Memphis tonight, and then you've got San Antonio. Again, that's a back-to-back. San Antonio plays tonight as well. They're at home. San Antonio's had the Kings number. Had their Kings number on 0 days rest this season. Here's what the Kings numbers look like. They're 2-3, under 500, not great. They're shooting 47.9% from the field, not terrible for a back-to-back. 3-point percentage, only 30.2%. 30.2%. They're a negative 4.6 net rating in back-to-back games. Now, the number that really I don't like to see is the turnovers, the personal fouls. They're high. And here's the other bothersome number, the free throws. 75.7%, only getting to the line 20 times. The one positive number that I like, and this is insane to me. Check this out. This is really insane to me. The Kings, if you look at their different records for days of rest, field goal attempts and pace is something that Monty McNair, Coach Brown all said that the Kings needed to be in the top 5 in the NBA. They wanted to get back to that this season. They haven't done it consistently, but in back-to-back games, that is the highest average of field goal attempts that the Kings get up on any amount of rest. So the Kings get up 90.6 field goal attempts. So just about 91 shots on back-to-backs, right? 1 day rest, it's 87.5. 2 days, it's 89. 3 days, it's 83. In 6+ days, it's 82. So think about that for a second. If you look at the numbers tell you the Kings play at a better pace with no rest than they do with 6+ days of rest. It's incredible. That's an incredible stat. So getting back to the schedule, San Antonio, let's say you get tonight, you get tomorrow. Then you've got Utah, New Orleans, and then Denver. Remember, the New Orleans and the Denver games were added because the Kings are not playing in the NBA Cup anymore. They were eliminated. You are at New Orleans and you are home against Denver. So Utah should be a win. Worst team in the Western Conference. New Orleans, first time you've seen them, remember, you couldn't beat them at all last year. Not a single time. Now, they're super injured. They just got DeJounte Murray back. They're trying to work things out. He called his teammates soft, said that the fans deserve better performances because they got blown out at home last week. And then Denver. That's the first time you see Denver this year. So, look, if the Kings won 5 in a row here, I would be very impressed. Realistically, what would you take in this stretch? What would you take in this stretch? 4 more games. Memphis, San Antonio, Utah, and New Orleans. What should their 5-game record be? You already want to know. If you want to start it from Memphis and not include the Houston game and do a 5-game segment of Memphis, San Antonio, Utah, and New Orleans and Denver, what do you think it should be? Really interesting. Yeah, the Kings did play Denver really well last year. Don't disagree with you there, Al. They did. In fact, that win in Denver right before the All-Star break, that really launched the Kings into the second half of the season. And I know that the stats, or the record, I should say, says otherwise, but that was the best basketball the Kings played all season when they were injured, because they went to a defensive style. Their net rating almost tripled. Their 3-pointers went down. Not like down as made 3-pointers, but their attempts went down. So they played a different style of basketball for sure. 2 and 3 is solid, Tristan says. Yerp, I'm a Bears fan. By the way, so I would like both to lose, but I live in this unfortunate reality talking about Thursday Night Football tonight. Let's see. Are the Sea Chickens gonna beat the Cardinals? Dude, Sea Chickens, you can't do better than that. I was expecting at least like the Sea Gals, what they call the cheerleaders up there. Are they going to beat the Cardinals? Yeah, I think they will. It's in Arizona. Yeah, they'll beat the Cardinals. I think they will. Let's see. Lions are a bit banged up. The Lions. So where are you guys at? Let's talk football for a second, then we'll get ready to wrap up. Grant and I are coming up at 4:00. Hopefully you can join us. It's going to be a pregame and open forum show leading you into 5:00 tonight. Kings and Grizz. Don't forget intermission right here. Jerry Reynolds, the one and only, with us, and then we'll be doing post game with you as well. Looking forward to that. So, all right, let's talk football for a second. I don't mind getting into this. So we've got tonight's game, Thursday night game. You guys are already kicking that around, but who are your favorites right now coming out of the NFC and AFC? I'm really curious because I think it's an interesting conversation. MC, by the way, a Bears fan, that was brutal. Thanksgiving, that was brutal. With Eberflus, oh, you can't do that. Grant and Sean talked about that yesterday. Should Caleb Williams have called a timeout? Yeah, he deserved to lose his job. First time in 100 years that they make a coaching change in the middle of the season. But legitimately, and I think really the NFC it comes down to two teams right now. Everybody's looking at the Lions. Everybody is looking at the Eagles. That is where most of the attention is at. The AFC, where does everybody come out? Buffalo seems to be the sexy pick right now. What about the Ravens? I know they've lost as of late. Lamar does not play well traditionally in the playoffs, but what two teams do you think, if we had to say the Super Bowl is in 2 weeks, who do you think's in it? Like, where are you guys at? Because you still got the Packers in the NFC. You still got we just talked about the Lions. The Packers are an interesting case to me. I feel like they're getting a little bit better and better as the season goes along. I'm a big Packer guy. Remember, the Packers, I'm not going to say they're my second team, because are you allowed to have a second team? Basketball in this town, you are not allowed to have a second team. If you have a second team, that's going to get you into some trouble. But because we're not a football city, is it acceptable to have a second team? Curious. Let me know. Flores, Bills, KC, Refs, Ravens, Lions, Eagles. Look, KC, if you have Mahomes, you have a chance. We always say that, right? But there's probably 2 or 3 games that could have gone the other way. But yet, if KC is in the playoffs, I know, Finchy, how do you go against them? That's what's so hard about it. It's like, am I really going to take Buffalo, who's not been able to get it done, over KC? I don't know. Barkley is a difference maker. He's having a hell of a season. Too bad New York. They had that, right? New York had that in their back pocket, and they couldn't do anything with it. And that's what I'm looking for right now. In fact, I'll grab my phone. This will be fun. So I have my football picks. So I at the beginning of the season, I don't know if any of you joined us for the show. Grant and I ran down every single division and what we thought the records would be. I had San Francisco coming out of the West. I had Philly coming out of the East. I had Chicago coming out of the North, with Detroit at 10-7 and Green Bay at 9-8. I had Atlanta at 9-8 coming out of the South. AFC, I had Houston at 10-7. AFC, I had let's see, New England. Oh no, let's see. Who did I? Okay, so I had Miami. I had Miami and the Jets at 11-6. Sorry, I was looking over that live time. KC at 11-6, and then Baltimore at 12-5. So my picks actually weren't too far off, but the West, I still feel like the NFC West is up in the air. I really do. I just do. MC, we started the season in hibernation. That's pretty good, MC. Good job by you. Listen to Grant and Sean, LOL, yerp. Eagles versus Bills. That's the sexy pick. You know, it's a good question, Dennis. Dennis, it is a good question. He was 7-5 this week. 7-5, that little one. You know, I called the phone company to see how quickly they could get out here to set up a 900 number in his room. Takes a couple of weeks, so it's not going to happen. But yeah, I'll ask Liam. Well, you know what? We're going to get his picks tonight. Remember, we've got Horsing Around with the NFL tomorrow, Horse and Liam. They'll be giving their picks. Horse will be live to give his picks. Al 3-2, including Houston game. If they can play like that. Interesting. So yeah, the NFL is wild right now. I just always remember that a team gets hot every single year at some point. And I look at the Bills and I wonder, here's my big question for the Bills. Have the Bills hit their stride too early in this season? Have they hit their stride too early in the season? We'll see. Look, Sean McDermott, even though they're winning, his seat is hot. his seat is really hot. If they blow or have an early exit from the playoffs, he's done. But Buffalo does kind of feel like that team of destiny to a degree. Gavin, Packers are peaking at the right time. See, I agree with you there. I do agree with you that the Packers are peaking. Now, look, beating the Niners isn't impressive, but they beat the Niners into the ground, just like the Bills did. And I know the Bills, the weather was awful, and it's really hard to play football in that weather, but the Packers dominated. The Packers defense has been such a pleasant surprise to me. And that was such a fun time being out there at Lambeau and literally Green Bay. So you probably know this, Gavin, if you're a Packers fan. There's nothing in Green Bay. It's Lambeau. There's a couple of high-rise buildings. You've got the practice facility. You've got a smaller arena where a hockey team plays and a hotel or two. That's Green Bay. Everything is centered around this football stadium. The bars, the city, everything is centered around Lambeau Field. It's such a cool place. I would go back to Wisco in a freaking heartbeat. So, how about this, by the way? Did you see Doug's dad, Coach McBuckets, beat the number one team in the nation last night? Beat the number one team in the nation. I know I'm going to a different McDermott. Creighton number two team in the nation, knocked off the Kansas Jayhawks last night. That was a hell of a win. No, number one. I believe they were number one. So, Titletown is about it. Yeah, that's what they call it. What do they call it? It's Stadium. Damn it. Now you're going to test my memory. And look, I got you. This is who I'm taking tonight, y'all. I'm going Packers. I'm going Packers over the Lions. The Lions are playing really good football, but I'm going Packers. I think it's their time. Packers beat the Lions tonight. Remember, the Lions laid an egg late last season on their home field. I think the Packers go in and take care of business tonight. So Packers it is for me. Really want to see the Bills versus the Lions. Offense will be great in your opinion. Nice. Very good, Flores. All right, we're going to get out. I'm going Packers over the Lions tonight. I am also, yes, I know the Lions are at home. Yes. They laid an egg last Thanksgiving on their home field. I'm still going Packers. I think it's their time. Gavin, count me in, buddy. Put another brat in the beer for me. Boil it up. I am going Packers over the Lions tonight. We're back though today at 4:00. Hopefully you can join us. It's been a little bit of a shorter show. It's been a fun show. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate all of you. Come back. 4:00. Grant will be here. I will be back with him. We'll be talking about Thursday Night Football. We'll be talking Kings. We'll be talking Grizzlies. We'll be talking the rest of the NBA. We'll lead you up to tip-off. Make it a great rest of the afternoon. See you in about 50 minutes. Go Kings. Light the damn beam. Stay the hell away from Levine. Don't forget that part. Court is dismissed.